Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by the Transact Card, Align Life, Brain-Based Health Solutions, Chiro HD, Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, German College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, the IFCO, and 100% Chiropractic. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 538 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Stephen Hussey. And if you want to hear a story about heart health and what people fear the most, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today I have Dr. Stephen coming in from Roanoke, Virginia. And really excited to have him onto the show. This is episode 538 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Before we jump into this episode, I'm gonna let you guys know our big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, I should have this tattooed on my body somewhere because I say it so much. First Amendment, we stand for freedom of speech. I think that's really important. We've never censored anybody on this platform. And as people know, our show has had its issues with the social media outlets, including YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So I just ask anybody that's watching this to do us a favor and share the show. Share the show to your audience so more people can understand what chiropractic is. Share this to your Facebook, share this to your LinkedIn, share this to your email list. And if you're watching this, I just ask you guys to, once again, share the show. But the First Amendment is really important to us. So we support the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech. We also support medical freedom and family health freedom. They are not the same things. So just understand that we should all have freedom of choices to how we take care of our families and our personal body. And more chiropractically speaking, we do protect the sacred trust. If you don't know what the sacred trust is, go and search for BJ Palmer's last words. Go and search for BJ Palmer's sacred trust. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you previously did, I guarantee you. And then we support subluxation-based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say that, but I know that they're really taking that type of languaging out of the schools and universities that teach chiropractic. So if you're at a chiropractic school, take this episode and share it to all your classmates so they can understand that chiropractic is alive and well and the language is here to stay. And then lastly, we believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical is adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that being said, that's our introduction. And Dr. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about the power of the adjustment. We're also going to talk about some up and coming speaking gigs that you have that I'm really excited for you to talk about. One of them being Chiro Congress, and you're going to be speaking at the State Association too. So we'll plug those two as we have our conversation today. But I'm always interested. Your chiropractic story. And this is a way for you to reintroduce yourself to your friends, your family, your colleagues, and your patients. So if they haven't heard your story in a long time, let's tell everybody how you got into this beautiful profession.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that it's anything too inspiring or impressive, but it's, I was always taken to chiropractors as a kid by my parents. And my dad, lived down the street from their family chiropractor. So they were very familiar with it. So, when I, as a young child, I was like 2 years old, my dad noticed me like wheezing and coughing. And he was just like, oh, I think he has asthma, just like I had. And like, let's take him to the chiropractor. So that was just always the thing. Right. And, I don't remember being a kid, but my parents always felt that, going to the chiropractor helped me with my asthma. I've since, gotten rid of asthma. I don't have it anymore. I've cured that. But that was always the thing. And so at age 9, I was actually diagnosed with autoimmune type 1 diabetes. And so, my parents and I were kind of thrown into the world of Western medicine to kind of manage that and get guidance for that. And, over the years, I kind of figured out that what they were telling me wasn't the best way to manage that, especially when I got into college. And I realized that the way I lived my life had a direct impact on my ability to manage that. And no doctor had ever told me that before. So I had a really good relationship with my pediatric endocrinologist. But then I started to get disillusioned with the Western medical model because of my direct experience of not ever being told that you could change your lifestyle and it would help. And so rather than, pursue medical school, because I was kind of inspired to be some sort of physician, I thought, chiropractic sounds good. I've always been to chiropractors. They always helped me. And so that's the direction I went. Had no idea there was any difference between the schools or any difference in philosophy. Still don't really care that there is. I just want to, promote health in a way that's best for humanity. And so that's what I guess that's how I interpret chiropractic. That's what chiropractors are supposed to do. So yeah, I went to chiropractic school, and but I also think that my story is one of curiosity, and I think that a more chiropractic philosophy kept me curious. But I think that what I learned in formal education is nothing compared to what I've learned based on my curiosity. And so that's what I guess initially made me think, oh, maybe chiropractic, not medical school, because of that curiosity of why I was never told these things by medical doctors. But also what I understand as health, I think, comes from that curiosity and always asking questions, never being satisfied with the formal answers I get to my questions. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think your story is not uncommon. I know that kids and babies in chiropractic are like a huge thing. And there's a lot of groups out there, the ICPA, started by Larry Webster, and the Webster's technique, and kids getting adjusted. And I love when your story started, because, a lot of times people don't understand that, like, that kids can get adjusted too, and you don't have to be in pain, or you don't have to be at a certain age. Like, I can't tell you how many times I go out and do a marketing event, and somebody be like, I hope I don't ever need you, and they're so like, there's such a disconnect with the understanding of that you don't have to have a symptom to have a chiropractic adjustment, and you don't have to have some type of pain in order to be checked, your spine checked by a chiropractor, to make sure your nervous system's functioning optimally. Mm-hmm. Like, so many times when people think about kids, they're like, why would I take a kid to the chiropractor? There's nothing wrong with them. But I think it's really cool. It's how your story started, and you were a little kid and your parents took you to the chiropractor because it's the thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least in my dad's world, that was the thing you did.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool because that gives people like a firmer understanding. I always tell people on the show, chiropractic is good from first breath to last breath, mm-hmm. and it's good for cradle to grave care. As a chiropractor will say, from womb to tomb. It's something that's really important to the fundamentals of a chiropractic lifestyle, is to make sure that the full family is healthy and we don't fall into sickness, disease, and infirmary, and where the body is in a state of disease. We want to say we want to put people on a path that doesn't become their normal.
For sure. Yeah.
So let's talk about this chiropractic adjustment. What does it do to people? How does it help people?
Well, yeah, I read a lot of stuff, and I'm really obsessed with understanding, physiology and how it actually works. And I think that there's a lot of things that are conventional wisdom about physiology that I don't think are true. One of them, like, being that the heart is the mover of the blood in the body, which it's not. But another being how a chiropractic adjustment affects us, how it creates health, because, it's attributed to, like, spine and line feel fine kind of thing, take pressure off the nervous system, create motion in joints. That motion is, helping cartilage move and stay healthy. And all that could very possibly be true. But I think there's another component to it that helps me understand more about how a chiropractic adjustment is creating health. So there's this concept of coherence. And coherence is just when all aspects of a living system are linked up, in sync, communicating with each other as a whole to do what's best in the interest of the living thing as a whole. And this can be applied to, my living system that is me, or it could be applied to ecosystems, communities, lots of different things, everything linked up, doing what's best as a whole. I think of like a, pack of 150 humans that's trying to survive as a pack of 150 humans, and they're all doing what's best for society as a whole. And that happens in the body, or it should be happening in the body. We should have coherence. And so the number one way that we create coherence is increasing communication of the body. Okay. And so there's lots of different ways that the body can communicate. And so it's not very well known that the fascial system, or the fascia system of the body, the tensegrity system, the interstitium, it's kind of like this web of connective tissue that holds us together. And it is collagen protein, the most abundant protein in the body. And that, it penetrates all the way down to the level of the DNA in a cell through the integrins that penetrate the cell, all the way up to, more gross fascia like the bone and the skin, things like that. And this fascia has the ability, it's actually, when you look at the physics of it, it's a semiconductor. So it can conduct information. And so collagen fibrils can conduct electrons, protons, photons, phonons throughout the entire system. And this conduction is actually faster than the nervous system, a lot faster. And so the ability of our fascia to, communicate to the entire body is incredibly important for creating coherence, because that's what's creating this communication, this in sync, this oscillation between the entire body. And so, unfortunately, and hydration of the collagen is very important, because every collagen fibril has hydrated with structured water around it. And that, you think of it like the myelin sheath, right? It's what enhances the conduction of the information. And so, unfortunately, we can get scar tissue in the body, and scar tissue is not normal collagen tissue. It's more densely packed, and it's so densely packed that it cannot be hydrated. And so the hydration is very important for that conduction. And so when it's so tightly packed, we get this area that's interfering with the signaling. And so, if we get that interference anywhere in the body, like we can all feel scar tissue in the muscle, doesn't feel like normal tissue, right? Scar tissue in the heart after a heart attack, that interferes with conduction of the signal for the heart to beat or contract. And so we can get the scar tissue anywhere, and we get it in our spine quite often because of the load that our spine takes throughout life. And so one of the ways that we can increase this conduction again is to provide mechanical stress to that. And so this creates a piezoelectric force, which is the creation of electricity pretty much, because when you put mechanical force into any tissue in the body, bone, ligament, tendon, whatever, the collagen, the fascia, it actually creates like a battery situation, puts the positive and negative charge away from each other, and that creates electricity. So when we do that to the spine, when we create this mechanical stress or this morphological change, that's what it says in a lot of the research papers, it kind of rearranges the collagen fibers, allows them to become hydrated, which one of the ways that we hydrate collagen is providing the right light to the water in the body. So that's why low level light therapy works, but infrared is probably the most absorbed by water. But this creates this coherence, and there's plenty of evidence that not just collagen and connective tissue is not just present in bone and connective tissue type things, but it's also everywhere, including nervous system tissue. So the ability of the nervous system to conduct information throughout the body is dependent on healthy collagen. And when we adjust the spine, we are providing this mechanical stress, this piezoelectric force that allows the rearranging of collagen that then becomes hydrated. But the other thing is that I found evidence that when we, do chiropractic manipulation, we also create light, so low level, or they call it ultra weak photon emission through collagen. So this is infrared light, which is not on the visible spectrum, but it's more heat, as well as an electromagnetic field, which are all things that are communicated through collagen. This is the semiconduction of collagen. And so when we do this, we're creating communication, pretty much. We're allowing the body to communicate again as a whole. So rather than one tissue thinking it's over here secluded, it realizes or it recognizes that it's part of a whole, and it does what's best for the whole. Whereas you can imagine a tissue that thinks it's on its own, it's going to do what's best for it. That could be maybe a situation sort of like cancer. And so the take home here is that when we increase this communication, we're increasing coherence. And the number one way that we measure coherence in the body is heart rate variability. It is, the heart is our, emotional sensing organ. It's measuring the ability of the body to communicate. And the heart is the only organ that has a high enough electromagnetic field that it can communicate to every cell in the body if we have coherence. And so increasing that coherence improves heart rate variability. And if you look at the research on chiropractic and heart rate variability, obviously it's very, very profound. There's, tons and tons of studies showing that when we get chiropractic care and we get it consistently, our heart rate variability is higher because we're creating coherence. And so this not only increases the health of our bodies as an individual, but when people are in coherence, they're more likely to connect with other people and create more of coherence as a whole, like in a community or in a whole ecosystem. And so that's, to me, the abridged version of, what chiropractic means to me and what the chiropractic adjustment does and how powerful it can be.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by the Transact Card, Align Life, Brain-Based Health Solutions, Chiro HD, Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Mobiles, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, German College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, the IFCO, and 100% Chiropractic. Let's hustle. Well, to sum up what you said, I learned this from a guy named Robert Brooks, and he had a program. He's passed on, but when I met him, he had a program called Taking Care of People. And the premise of some of the things, the principles he taught were that the issues are in the tissues. And that's a quick summarize of what you were saying there, is that when people are subluxated, misalignment of the spinal joint, putting pressure on the nerve, causing some type of a symptom, some type of a down response in the body, not an up response. When that's corrected, it actually releases lightness inside the body, which allows the body to flow the way it's supposed to. And that's why, philosophically, we always tell people the body needs nothing extra in it. It simply needs no interference. Once we clear out that vertebral subluxation, the body has a chance of self-regulating and self-healing. I tell people all the time, if I cut my finger, I don't have to look at it until it's a heal. Innate intelligence is always on the job, and it's going to clot and heal my finger, whether I know it's going to or not. It just does. So when you remove that subluxation, that's the same thing that happens for the rest of the body, is the body just naturally has the adaptability and that coherence to say, oh, so this is what living unsubluxated feels like. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. And it really gets into the physics of the body, because there's so much focus on the biochemistry because of pharmaceutical companies and nutrition and supplements and things like that. But when we look at the physics, to me, it explains chiropractic in a very, very effective way.
And one of my good friends, Roberto Monaco, would always tell me, like, for chiropractors, if we don't tell our story and own chiropractic, someone else will make up one about us. And then they'll start taking parts of chiropractic philosophy and making it their own. And that's what we've seen happening. So we have to, like, once again, protect the sacred trust, which is the truth of this profession, and we have to guard it. Otherwise, people will come in and they'll parcel it off and they'll sell it out and they'll change it, which, that's actually, we have a birthday coming up in September. It'll be the 128th year of chiropractic. So there's a lot to be thankful for. And as a healing art, it's a relatively new healing art in the world. So it's pretty cool. And, I think that as I've gotten to know chiropractic more and more, there's a lot of benefit that we still have to, like you said, scar tissue. I believe that the brand equity of chiropractic has had some scar tissue, and it's been a little hard to hydrate and bring back to life because of the AMA trying to destroy and eliminate the profitability, but also the integrity of the profession. So we have a lot of social reconditioning to do, when it comes to getting chiropractic more mainstream?
For sure. I'm a huge on education. I think that these ideas and the things I've found, I really want to share them with chiropractors and with patients. All my patients come in and they watch an 18-minute video that I made so that they can get educated, because people fear what they don't understand, and they've only, their understanding of chiropractic may only be from the mainstream. And so if I can, get in their head a little bit and show them some different information, they start to understand it better and they stop fearing it. Because I can't tell you how many people come in and say, yeah, I've always thought about going to chiropractic, but I've kind of been hesitant, kind of been scared. It's just like, it's because you don't understand. And so we always fear what we don't understand. So I want to educate people.
So I'm curious to ask you, this isn't scripted or anything, but the adjustment is so sacred. Like when I first started out in chiropractic, like you had to go to a chiropractor to see an adjustment. You had to become a patient in order to get adjusted. And there wasn't the advent of social media where every third video people were watching were TikTok video people getting adjusted. What do you think about how chiropractic has become mainstream for social media and just for people to hear these loud audibles? Like, do you think that we were better before that became a thing? Or do you think that it's better now that people see what chiropractors actually do and it doesn't hurt people?
Yeah, I think that you could see it as pros and cons. I think that, the exposure is good and that people are seeing it in a positive light. Because I remember seeing some clip about chiropractic on like the show, The Doctors or something. And, there's a chiropractor on the show and they were making an adjustment and they had the microphones right there and you hear the noise. And then they cut to people in the crowd going, oh, it was just kind of like that kind of negative thing to it. So like any kind of positive thing that shows that, lots of people go to chiropractors and, we don't hurt people. We actually create health in people, I think is good. I guess at some point we do have to kind of, people need to understand as well that chiropractors are probably the most well-versed in how to adjust the spine, how to assess the spine, where it needs to be adjusted more than any other profession that does quote unquote manipulation. And also that people who are just like adjusting people on TikTok maybe are not chiropractors. They're not trained as well. So there is a difference there as far as what happens when we hear noise or don't hear noise. I don't think it's all about the noise, but when we create motion in a segment that needs to be moved or needs to have motion, then I think that's kind of the same effect. We're creating coherence. I just think that some people are probably better at it than others based on their experience and their training. And that's the more important thing, because you could be creating hypermobility and then another joint would be less mobile, more scar tissue, not being broken up, and that could be interfering with coherence. So it's I don't know, there's pros and cons, but any positive exposure and education and decreasing of fear in people, showing that it's normal, it's okay, it's a good thing, is a good thing for chiropractic.
Well, I think that a lot of what you're saying holds a lot of water, but I have seen where people that don't understand anything about chiropractic and know that I'm a chiropractic advocate and I run a podcast, the number one podcast in the world for chiropractors, they send me stuff and I see these videos that people will send me and it almost like humorizes chiropractic for for publicity standards. And I'm just like, that's not okay with me. Like it's okay for a doctor to show that they're adjusting. I guess so. I'm not really that keen on it, but it's like letting the genie out of the lamp. Like we can't put it back in. And, that's why we have to protect the sacred aspects of chiropractic. Like if we make it cheap, then it becomes cheap. If we let it become a humor, then it becomes humor. And really it takes away from the power of the healing art, in my opinion. So, I think that it's like, the movie, The Wizard of Oz, like the adjustment's so damn sacred. And I think that it has done a lot, but it also becomes sensational. Like when people do the XYZ strap and they pull people and like everybody like wants to go get that done. But is that the best for every patient? No, it's not.
Yeah. Well, that's up to the practitioner, I guess. And what they're going to do, because every single, practitioner is going to be different in what they feel is best. And I guess that's really up to the the patient. How do they feel?
Mm-hmm.
If they want that, or if they don't want that, they get that done. How do they feel afterwards? It's their health. It's up to them to do, or get done what they want to their body. But I think that we could also, we also see examples of humor in the medical profession too. There's all these, political cartoons and things that make fun of it as well. It's a little bit more, there's a little bit more stigma around that. So it's a bit more protected, I think, than like from conventional wisdom standpoint than chiropractic is. But, you're going to get that in every profession, I think. And since, we've had this uphill battle from the AMA and that committee they put together to kind of disband chiropractic, it's a little bit harder for us, but yeah, you're going to get that with any profession. And all we can do is educate, show people what we're doing, rather than just making this sensational thing like, oh, look at these noises, look at this dramatic thing that I did. Like, help people understand what that's actually doing. And because it's just as, dramatic. It's not as fast or anything, but it could be just seen as just as dramatic as some major surgery. Like, look at this crazy thing that this surgeon did, and it's and all these medical shows that we see, and these dramatization of like the surgeries and the great feats they go through. It's the same kind of thing, except people don't really understand what's happening during a surgery, really, and all the consequences that has. But also during a chiropractic adjustment, people don't understand it. So creating that understanding and education is really, really important to me. That's what's going to control any type of, negative, connotation of anything you see in social media.
Yeah. It's just something that's current to me, and it's very common, and people send me stuff and I'm like, I cringe, I just learned a new word called cringy. I get cringy when I see some stuff that people send me that has become sensationalized and has like hundreds of thousands of views. And I'm like, that's not chiropractic.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off to a degree. So I know we have to have a better threshold of governance as to what people are promoting and what people are seeing. Otherwise, it's just like letting the genie out and everybody makes their wish, and chiropractic doesn't become chiropractic anymore.
Yeah.
And it becomes some watered down version of a manipulation where people are just like doing that to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, I watched a YouTube video. Now I'm adjusting my friends. Like, not okay.
Not okay. And I guess the best thing we can do is, put in your 2 cents, comment on that video and say, hey, I've, been very familiar with chiropractic and made it my life for however many years. And, this is not chiropractic, and this is what I think it is. It's in a very approachable way. I saw on Twitter, a cardiologist that I respect for his views on heart health and stuff, who posted a video of somebody getting a neck manipulation and saying, like, I've seen people show up in the ER with strokes from this. And I called him out. I said, this is absolutely not true. I posted all the studies that show that that's absolutely not true. And he was like, I don't have time to read your studies. And I lost some respect for him. And I said, okay, but you do have time to spread misinformation on Twitter. And he kind of backed down and apologized, and we're fine now, so it's kind of standing up to that and providing the real information. And so that people see it, because not everyone who saw his post will see what I said, but a lot of people probably did, and gained some new information from that.
Well, the scenario here is anytime we have something that we're unsure of or we're unaware of, we need to, like you said, we need to validate and we need to stand up. And I think that that's what we've been doing for a long time with Chiro Hustle. As our intro was, I was like, dude, I just been doing this because I see so much disinformation out there, and I see so many people talking about things when it comes to health related. And I don't believe that we're getting the whole dose of truth and reality from people. So that's what I hope to gain by doing this show time and time again, is standing in the gap for truth and let people hear from real practitioners about a profession that we all love. And I think that that's really the power behind what we're doing here. I know we have a couple minutes left, but let's do a little quick lightning round. We talked a little bit about chiropractic, but where's the profession headed, man? Where do you see it going in the next 10 years?
Well, I think that people are waking up as far as health and medicine. And I think that they're starting to figure out that Western medicine doesn't have all the answers, or at least they're going to Western medicine seeking answers and they're not getting them. And so I think that, people are going to fall back on providers that are more health focused. They're going to realize that they can't just live their life however they want to, and that Western medicine will save them one day. and that they're going to have to pay attention to and be proactive and to create health. And I think that chiropractors are very poised to catch them, right, as they're coming down. And so I see chiropractic growing pretty big, I think, pretty soon, because I think that as terrible as COVID was, it woke a lot of people up to the real issues with medicine. And so a lot of people are seeking other providers and other paths to health. And they're learning that insurance companies are not serving them, pharmaceuticals are not serving them, or they're not helping them in the way they need to be helped. And so they're going to fall back. And I think that, part of what I want to do is educate and help chiropractors learn information that I've gained from my personal investigations, so that they are better equipped to catch these people as they fall into their lap looking for answers.
Yeah, there's a meme that I really like about a lion that gets released from a cage, and they say that once a lion is released, it doesn't have to defend itself. It doesn't have to be defended. It will defend itself. And I think that that's also true about the truth. And the truth about chiropractic is people can slander and they can say what they want to about the profession of chiropractic, but the profession of chiropractic will defend itself. And I think that people that want results and they want long-term health, it's called the chiropractic lifestyle. And I've never recommended anybody to go under chiropractic or get chiropractic care that had a worse quality of life. I've only met people that had a better quality of life. Now, I can't say the same about people who have been on more meds or taken more surgeries, that they have a better vitality or better quality of life. They're always going to have like a diminishment in their vitality. It doesn't matter. And if you do that, like titration over time with chemistry, you change the chemical component of the human. So the chiropractic profession doesn't put anything extra into a person. It just simply removes the interference once again. So yes, people by the hundreds of thousands are going to be looking for a solution of truth. And they're going to say, wow, those chiropractors have been right all along. Thank you for not buying out and selling out into big pharma and standing your ground and protecting the sacred trust. Once again, I know we have a couple more minutes. I know you got to get going soon, but you're going to be doing some speaking gigs. One's at the Chiro Congress and the other one's at the Virginia Chiropractic Association, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's drop some knowledge on people, because I know you love educating. Where are these going to be? And let's plug them.
Yeah, so the UVCA, Virginia Chiropractic Association convention in the fall is going to be in Roanoke, so right in my backyard. And that's going to be in October. I can't remember the dates. And then the Chiro Congress is in November in Hawaii. And I'll be speaking, continuing education kind of stuff. I've spent a lot of time researching heart disease because of my predisposition to it. And I've written a book on heart disease. And so I'll be presenting some information there, but also how it has all this information that I found has led me back to chiropractic as well and relating it there. And then I'll be talking about what we talked about here as far as what chiropractic actually does, what manipulation actually does as far as coherence in the body. So pretty excited about those opportunities because it's kind of my gateway into the chiropractic community, which is my community and the one I want to serve the most. So yeah.
So I know we had a bunch of questions I didn't ask you that we sent over to you, but is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today?
No, I think we covered it. I mean, one of the questions was like how to create, new patients and things like that. And I'll just harp on the education again. People fear what they don't understand. So if people are coming to your office, it's an opportunity to educate them, regardless of their past chiropractic experience, educate them on what's actually going on, and their fear will dissolve and they'll gain your trust. And that's how you create new clients, because they'll refer tons.
Well, Dr. Stephen, thank you for being our episode 538. If people want to connect with you or learn more about you, where can we send them to?
My website is resourceyourhealth.com. And my books are on there. I do online health consulting where I, help people manage complex chronic conditions. And then I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. It's just Dr. Stephen Hussey, Stephen with a PH. So people can find me, reach out to me there as well.
Great. Well, I appreciate you being on with us today, and I'm going to close out by telling everybody, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next interview. Appreciate you, Dr. Stephen.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day today.
You too.
All right. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.